Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome back to the Near Death Diary podcast. Hey, before we get started, if you don't mind, haunting that like button and absolutely just bringing forth some unholy something with that subscribe button so we have more future content. That would be amazing. With me, as always, is the fog man himself, Mr. Cody.
Let's get foggy with it.
Listen to that radio voice. Listen to that.
I'll lose it. I can do it. I can only sustain it for so long.
What, are you feeling sick?
No, it's that powerful.
Oh. Making ripples, butterfly affecting. So when we started this podcast, one of the intentions was, in fact, to talk about near-death experiences. And guys, today there is a little bit of a somber start to today's show. We have a story in front of us that I think is going to need a little bit of preparation, a little bit of deep breathing before we get into it, and especially afterwards. I think we're going to need to rally around this lovely individual who has a pretty interesting, I will say that. It's very, very interesting how her life path unfolded, and especially the aftermath in which she had a very premonition, like a premonistic. Is that the word? Premonistic? Premonitious? Is it premonitious or premonistic? Whichever one. She had a premonition, and it resulted in something rather tragic. So I'm going to need everyone to stop what you're doing right now. I'm going to need you to take a deep breath with me. That's right, and let it out. Ooh. Take a deep breath. Cody, take a deep breath. I want to hear you take a deep breath. Ooh, what the is that on the light?
Oh my God, that's huge.
That is enormous. What is that?
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't want to go near it.
It's looking at me.
Look
at it.
Like, well, let's describe it for the viewers. It's about 2 inches long. It has some big front legs.
And it's menacing.
Got wings. It's just sitting there.
How did it get in? We got a bug now.
Oh my God, its antennas are giant too.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a bug expert, but that is an episode within itself. That is slightly terrifying. Anyway, deep breaths. Ignore the bug. Ignore the bug.
Where did the bug go?
You know, that's a really good point. Find the bug with your skin. That's the game. That's the game. All right, so this will be our 4th episode of the Near Death podcast, right? Or this is either the 4th or the 5th, depending on
which order these get posted.
So
this is recorded as the 5th, but could be posted as the 4th.
Oh, so I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. But like I was saying before the bug interrupted, let's everyone rally ourselves. We decided to put this story up in the forefront because I think it's going to need 2 stories to kind of shake loose the trauma, to be honest. Because Cody read through it briefly and let me know the rundown of it, and I am preparing myself to read it. I know the bare bones of it. And there's a lot of magic within it. A premonition is a very magic thing. So my grandma, she has what's called clairvoyancy. She gave a lot of that to me. Dream work. I was talking about this with my mom the other day. She said as a kid, I'd always come in when I'd be tired or I'd have to pee or something like that. And I'd pass her because, she slept in the living room. And she'd ask me like questions and stuff like, "What are you doing, honey?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm up. I have to pee. Oh, I was having a dream about this or that or whatever." And she'd be like, "Oh, that's really interesting." And then I'd come back from peeing and be like, "Okay, I'm going to get back to my dream now." Just like picking right back up where I was. Dream work. It's a thing. My grandma was always almost able to predict the future by paying attention to her dreams. And it reminds me of premonitions. Something like I'm about to read. But before we dive into that, let's lighten the mood as much as we can. How are you guys enjoying the podcast? Let us know in this live chat right here. We are always strapped in right there with you guys during these premieres. This is a good time to let us know, how you think we're doing here.
And Nightbot has finally been reeled in.
Did you say railed in?
Reeled in. The
Cody,
things I had to do to get him to calm down.
Yeah, Cody, tell us about railing in Nightbot. So, how long did it take?
4 seconds.
Oh yeah.
I just clicks the buttons.
You
The right buttons.
You broke him. You broke him like a stubborn mare. Yeah, I'm sure you did, boy. So the podcast seems to be going great. We've been almost about times 0.25 every podcast we do. We are acquiring. It's actually the same rate and growth of a mushroom. Go figure. Isn't that wild? We are growing at a fourth of our previous episode release every release, which is great. We're amplifying, we're growing, we're getting bigger. People seem to really like moth. People really seem to like what it is that we're doing out here, and that's really reassuring.
People also seem to like moth.
Well, Mothman, which we are waiting. Will someone, just for the love of Christ, send in a Mothman?
We got
story.
Goatman before we got Mothman.
Yeah, but Goatman made us gay. Just temporarily. Like, I didn't know that was like a thing. I wasn't even in the story. But we are going to that bridge. We are going to that bridge because people like you support us on Patreon.
And we're not splitting up, and we're not going halfway out.
We made a commitment. We are 100% pee breaks. We're not breaking eye contact. We are breaking man code. Aren't we?
Well, you got to there. If you split up, a fucking goat takes your place.
According to the story.
Yeah.
According to the story told. I don't know if it's been told yet. If it hasn't, that's a little insight.
Oh, wait, yeah, shit.
It's not giving away much. If anything, it's building anticipation.
You didn't hear that at all. You didn't hear nothing. Forget what you heard until next week.
It might be released next week. Who knows? But we're trying to hit you guys with 2 per week for at least a month. That's what we're trying to do.
Now, I was told every Monday.
Until I changed it.
Until you changed it this morning.
Yeah.
At which point I had to
furiously
finish editing.
Doctor says I have to keep my stress down.
You've made it so much more stressful.
For you.
Is this like one of those things that attaches to you, but you have to find somebody else for it to attach to before it stops fucking with you? Try to pass it on to me?
I did. I didn't try.
It has me. Just wait for the rash.
It's
there. It's coming.
The rash is coming.
You see that giant bug? He was.
I give this gift of misfortune of health to you, my friend. Now we all suffer. Okay. Well. Okay. I think we're just distracting. Should we just do it? Should we just get into it?
Get into it. Oh yeah.
Should we just pull the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, it's gonna be a toughie.
So, Miam, hi. I've before I get into this, I've heard the gist of the story. Thank you for having the gusto to send in something like this. Cody skimmed through it. He gave me a little bit of the rundown. As someone who's been on the precipice of death, someone who understands death the way I do, I hope that you gained something from this as well, and it didn't just leave you in the negative. But we're going to get into your story right now. It says, hey, I just saw your video on Instagram and just wanted to share my experience. Let's just say my name is Miam. I grew up in a religious household, but my family members are no strangers to the supernatural. I've had family members who were possessed. As a child, I saw things. I have been tormented by spirits, but it was always thanks to the people around me who prayed for me that brought me through it all. Since around the age of 11, my superpower has been being able to predict people's death. Oof.
That couldn't have been an easy thing.
That is a hell of a thing to be able to see. That would be hard on the psyche, Miriam. It's always came to me in my quiet moments. One time I was sitting alone and a voice told me somebody in my family was going to die. I brushed it off. Just next week my cousin died. Same thing another time. My mother's friend died. We had a close family friend who came to the house one time. A voice told me she had breast cancer. I brushed it off. I saw her another time. Same voice told me she would die and leave her young children. Miriam. I'm holding your hand right now, Miriam. I brushed it off, saying I did not want to wish bad on anybody. A few months later, she died of breast cancer and left her young children. Nobody besides her husband knew she had cancer until she was on her dying bed. She didn't tell her mom, her sisters, nobody. I never spoke to her husband. Anyway, the one experience that has messed me up to this day is the death of my new boyfriend. Everybody, come in close. Hold each other around the internet campfire. We knew each other for quite a while, but we got separated as he moved to a different country. But we decided we would still pursue a long-distance relationship. Everything was great. He was trying to get himself together, he bought a car, and since the relationship was long distance, we spoke all the time, from the time we got up to the time we were ready for bed, and we made it our duty to tell each other, I love you, before we went to bed. And you should do that. As a matter of fact, you should say I love you as much as possible. Those words should resonate deeply within all of us. I've had many experiences in which case I wish the last thing I said to somebody who I never expected would be gone was gone. And I wish, instead of saying, hey, fuck you, see you later, or whatever I chose, was I love you. So anyway, he bought a car, as mentioned, and he loved driving, but hated wearing a seatbelt. I always told him he should wear a seatbelt. He assured me he was okay. Accidents don't happen like that where he lives, etc., etc., etc. But way before he got his car, a voice always told me that he was going to die in a car crash. I'd brush it off, as I don't want to wish bad on him.
Wear your seatbelt.
Not even that. You know, things like this, having a superpower like this, and knowing. Did you know?
It's difficult. I'd say I've had signs and then you don't know how to read it until after, basically. It's like little things and you're like, and it pops up and you're like, oh shit.
And you can't change people.
That too.
You can't. So as superpower as something seems, almost, you're very super powerless still. And I can't imagine having the clairvoyancy of something like this. And almost knowing. Whew. For months we would be talking, and I'd be looking at him on video, and the voice would come to me. He's going to die in a car crash. But as always, I don't want to wish bad on him, so I brushed it off. It's not wishing bad. You have to embrace this talent. You have to embrace it for the benefit of humanity. Let's take this as a learning experience, as hard as it is. It's not wishing bad. It's your superpower. It's your ability to augment the future. And I'm sure just reading what I've read so far, that you're probably using this in an entirely different way when you hear that voice. Whew. One night I was going out of town and I wanted to wash my hair. Before I did, I spoke to him and told him I'd call him back later. I hung up the phone and I had the water running in the bathroom. While I was sitting in the living room, I finally got up to wash my hair. I kid you not, everything went black. I couldn't see anything. Time stopped. I knew because I could have felt everything, including myself, froze. I couldn't see anything. Out of the darkness, a dark figure stood next to me. I knew it was Death himself. I felt a crash, as if I was in a car crash, and I tasted blood in my mouth. The figure disappeared. My sight came back, and time resumed. I stood there, literally feeling like I died in a car crash. I stopped. I prayed. I washed my hair, and I went to bed. I called my boyfriend at the time to tell him good night, and I love him. But he was so groggy he didn't even know I was on the phone. So I hung up and I went to sleep. The next day I woke up. There was no text. I called and I messaged throughout the day and there was no answer. Later that day I got a call. The person on the other side asked me if I was Miam and if so-and-so was my boyfriend. I said yes. Then his sister proceeded to tell me he had died in a car crash earlier that morning. Needless to say, my life has taken a downward spiral since then. Everybody hold Miam tightly in their heart after hearing this. I know I, for one, have been close to the veil myself personally. I've never been visited or warned or given a vision of such power, especially someone directly close to me. But to have a consecutive group of people in your close proximity have be a constant premonishing and have it come true and then have it be your lover, that is heartbreaking, to say the least. What do you think, Cody? Cody's wiping a tear from his eye right now. This is a hard one. I told you guys this is going to be a hard one.
Just hope everyone have a takeaway from it as to wear your seatbelt. Having lost someone in a car accident myself. Well, the story reminded me of it a little bit because that morning I had woken up super early, and usually that, I was out of school, and
Cody lost his younger brother in a car crash.
but I couldn't get back to sleep. I didn't know why. After a while, I finally did get back to sleep. Immediately woken up to the news of the accident. I would just say that seatbelts are very important. They do save lives.
Absolutely. I think we're going to need just a second. The passing of Cody's younger brother has sent ripples through his family for many years. It is something that is still a very delicate subject. much like we just read.
I know, yeah. After something like that, nothing's ever the same. Everyone goes through it differently.
It's really
So I
hard.
can see.
Yeah, it's hard
how-
losing a brother.
See how Miriam's life had taken a downward turn.
Miriam, if you are in the comment section, if you find yourself watching this episode and you were able to comment, if you're in the live chat, if you are in the comment section, can you give us like some of your thoughts on the the premonition aspect of it? Did you know it was coming? Did you prep yourself ahead of time? And what is it like to be able to predict and know the outcome of someone's life? I think this channel, we try to use it as like an enlightenment tool and to alleviate some of our darkest fears. The fact that you were gaining some sort of understanding of what was going to happen is fascinating, as sad as it also is. On that somber note, let us recalibrate ourselves for the next story. We knew that was going to be hard. We knew it was going to be hard. And we knew this podcast would be hard. We knew that these things are going to happen, and they're going to be surmountable. We plan on doing this for a long time. We don't really have plans on stopping this. I could see myself being 60 years old still doing this podcast for fun. And I can't imagine the mountain of stories that I will have on my shoulders at that point. Sometimes they're going to hit home. Sometimes they're going to hit hard. And I'd like to think that this community that we're building here can hold each other tight in these moments and elevate each other, elevate Miam and elevate Cody right now. Because sometimes you need a little extra love, you know what I'm saying? With that being said, let's cut to a commercial for let's take a look at our sponsor, which is us. Whew, you all right? Yeah. All right. Okay. So until we have actual sponsors on this channel, until we have actual commercials, like people paying us money to let them put their sections or their segments to sell their products, within our podcast, we're just going to do it ourselves. We're just going to film commercials and we're going to slide them in there. I like it.
Good strategy.
I think so. It's a winning strategy. If you guys want products, just hit us up at hellfireholler.com.
Hold up the new ones.
Huh?
Hold up the new one.
These are the new
Yeah, we'll hold
ones.
it up so they can see what it is.
Oh my gosh. Here. There they are. They're finally in focus. God, it's so hard.
What are you doing?
Shut up, dude. This is hard. It's like airplane controls. Whatever. Go to the website. You guys know the website. Share the website. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Send this to your grandma. Okay? Send it over to her. She's probably bored. She doesn't have shit to do. Show her the podcast. Tell her to subscribe. Like send it to like your friends group. Put it on your Twitter. Whatever. Sorry, X, I guess now.
Your friend group has a scary story or two.
Yeah. And then also, guys, you can write in to the Hellfire Holler podcast at gmail.com. You can send your stories in, and we will read your stories. Okay? No matter how fucking heart-wrenching they are. So, woosah, everyone take a deep breath. Everyone as a community around the internet campfire. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Okay.
Just don't get a moth.
I actually think I did. I think I breathed in an insect. That's what happened just now. So, Cody, do I get any sort of rundown of what it is we are about to get into after Miss Miriam's story? Do I get a hint as to the cryptid, the scenario, the scene, the haunting, anything?
Native American.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's get into our next story, sent in by our friend Joe. And still shaking off Miriam a little bit. Okay. This happened 2 years ago and still keeps me up some nights. Thanks for reading. I'm 23-year-old husband, father, and traveling sales rep during the summer. I work out of state for 5 months, then return home and spend the rest of the year with my family. Dude, that's a good job. As long as you got a good thing at home. I'm coming at it from the voice of the broken. Maybe get Chris to make a quick cameo on this one. That's kind of rough, but that's almost like a teaching job. You ever think of like being a teacher? You get an entire summer off.
Yeah. Not very many jobs do that.
Yeah, right. I mean, you spend some time away from like your home and your lover and everything, but you get like an entire half a year unfucking checked, unfiltered to be with your family. I guess it's a catch-22. Like, I mean, man, 5 months, you still get the better part of the year. As long as you have a good situation at home, as long as you have like a good woman, someone loyal, someone caring, then, you're not going to come home and there's a milkman. It's like, sup?
Does that still happen?
I mean,
I don't.
well, much like any urban legend, there's a reason why everybody's like,
can come home and milk jug hands is there.
the jug hands. We're trying so hard to get
It's gonna happen.
to get the Appalachian, the Crooksville jug hand man. It's from another podcast that we did.
Oh my God, that's the one.
So
hold on. My sister really wants to be. She's 8, by the way.
Yeah.
And she really wants to be on an episode.
The jug
And
hands.
if I have her retell the story of milk jug hands,
just have to like sit here and make a really in-depth jug hand, So essentially, urban legends a lot of times are started, from parents or people in parental, positions, like positions of guardianship, trying to protect their young. Why don't we, let these kids run out and around at night? Well, it gets more dangerous at night, So we make creepy little like bullshit lies and cryptids and things ourselves.
Don't break into that house and step on a nail and get tetanus because it's haunted by blah 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 blah. That'll keep the kids out. Though,
just like you will suffer greatly.
Yeah.
Which ends up like almost egregioringly like breeding, something or bringing something forward. And like we are kind of obsessed with this idea that if we just keep telling the jug hand story, that we're going to like manifest this ridiculous plastic hand, like recycled milk jug hand character that you wouldn't be able to take seriously, but would still terrify the children. So the little sisters, we call them the goblins. They are begging to be in videos. Maybe we do need to do a podcast where we tell
just tell the milk jug hand story. Just get it out there. See if it takes root.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to do that. This story happened as I was driving home from the market, crossing the New Mexico and Arizona border. I've been a longtime listener of weird and wild podcasts, and I've heard multiple accounts of SWs and Wendy's.
He didn't say it like that, did he?
No, he didn't.
People
are so uncouth.
He's setting you up.
Joe, quit trying to summon demons on the property. I ain't doing it. Anyway, there's Skinny and Wendy's, and other Native American phenomenon. but I've always been skeptical. This was the last night of my cross country trip. I was planning a meetup with my wife and our 3-year-old the next morning. I was headed to a campground between 2 and 3 a.m., just listening to music with my 6-month-old blue heeler puppy. Good breed, good choice. Rusty in the passenger seat. That detail will matter later. Oh no, not the dog.
If
Not
that happens, we'll be like, all right, I don't
not the
know.
puppy. Rusty is a cattle dog my wife brought home from that summer. Super territorial and protective. Honestly, a bit of a liability around people. He'd even get aggressive with me if I tried to hug or kiss her. That dog had zero fear. Well, that could be broken, but that is a sign of a good dog. You just gotta work with it. You gotta be the human that helps ground out that behavior. And I'm sure you know that. It seems like you do. The first campground I tried to pull into was on BLM land within a reservation, but it was closed. I drove until I had cell service, searched for another campground, and found one 40 minutes away. I stopped at a gas station, I grabbed a beer and some snacks, then continued on my way. As I was driving, I had a strange, uneasy feeling. I wasn't familiar with the reservation or how it worked, and that night was pitch black. I hadn't seen another person or vehicle in miles when suddenly, lit by the overhead light from a truck, I saw someone on my side of the road. They had long dark hair and looked like they were covered in motor oil. Their head was down, just walking aimlessly. I'd like to think I was pretty aware. This didn't feel right. I didn't take my foot off the gas, or even for a second. Even Rusty noticed, staring out the window with his ears up. Cody, what do you think's going to happen?
I don't know. I didn't skim that part, so
Yeah, so
I would
there's
say don't trust the gooey guy.
a dude covered in motor oil with his head hung, walking down the road.
What are those several stories of people and they'll just be in their car or something, and then like a group will come up, even in their house, and they'll knock on the door, and it'll be like a couple people, and they'll want in or something like that, and they'll just be something off about them, and they'll have like pitch black eyes.
Oh, you're talking about the black-eyed children.
Yeah, I don't know why it gave me that kind of vibe.
But I've seen some videos that are pretty.
I've not seen the videos. I've just heard the stories, and I mean that's enough. Be like, all right, yeah, I wouldn't trust that either.
I am impatiently waiting for, because we don't like, we're getting now what, 2 to 3 per day at emails, people writing in at hellfirehollerpodcast@gmail.com, sending in their stories and their experiences, and we're getting 2 or so a day. There is a kind of a common ground. There's a lot of woodsy, like a lot of Dogman, werewolf, things like that. But I know we're going to start dipping into these really strange experiences, and the black-eyed children is a crazy phenomenon. If you haven't heard of it, look it up, but don't do it at night because it is a really strange and off-putting.
Mm.
It's got a lot of like vampire like principle to it. Like one of the things that's commonly said about vampires is that you have to invite them in. They show up and they are letting you know like hey, you have to let us in, and they're doing it in this like very much so childlike I'm stranded and I could really use your help, like we're not in a good position right now, please help us. And you have the common thread that is these big beady, almost like the entire eye is a pupil, just ugh. But that's kind of the vibe it gives you.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'll read that part over just to. So they had long dark hair and looked like they were covered in motor oil. Their head was down, just walking aimless. I'd like to think I'm pretty aware. This didn't feel right. I didn't take my foot off the gas even for a second. Even Rusty noticed, staring out the window with his ears up. One of the things that has been very surefire and it like adds like another level of
Oh
assurance
yeah, anytime an animal gets
and
involved
terror. Yep.
and this animal senses it, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, did I see that? And then if an animal
Or
does it, and they're like, oh, okay, I did.
or even worse is children.
Mm.
When so Rowan, when he was younger, my son started coming up and saying things about, how there was like a man in the house, and that there was my roommate, yeah, at the time. um but that's not who he was talking about. He was talking about somebody that we couldn't see. And man, that hits you. And I did the same thing to my mom. I used to go to school in the woods with grandma,
Mm-hmm.
and like pack a lunch and everything and be like, I'm going to school with grandma. And I'd come back and I'd start telling her about stuff that grandma was teaching me and shit. And she was like, maybe you're not going to school anymore. Because it was creepy, It was creepy. All right, let's get back to the story. As we blew past them, every alarm in my head went off. What the hell was that? Who the hell is walking an 80-mile stretch of highway 20 miles from the nearest gas station or structure at 3 in the morning? I kept going, winding through a dark desert canyon to a campground I'd marked on my map. When I arrived, I finally let my guard down. Do you ever let your guard down? After something like that happens, do you let your guard down?
Mm. How long did he say it was? Because maybe, I mean, you drive past somebody and you're pretty far away at that point.
Yeah, and I guess probably going the opposite direction as the person.
Maybe.
He saw him head
I don't know. He
down.
said he was in his side or in his lane, right?
Yeah.
I can't
I
remember.
I know that if that dude was walking the same direction as I was going, I wouldn't,
Well, it depends on how far I went.
you
'Cause,
know.
you're traveling really fast. If he's walking, it's going to take forever. But then again, you are camping out there, and that was your plan.
But
So
everything felt wrong about it.
yeah, I don't know.
Everything felt wrong about it. It felt like,
And then you got your dog too. A little bit of security there,
yeah, that's why pooches are absolutely
safety,
great, especially at the campsite. You
and you
know,
got snacks.
yeah, and a beer. He did get a beer.
Yeah, that'll fix some stuff.
Shotgun that bitch. Fuck the oily man. Whatever, bring it on, bro. Whatever. All right, back to the story. There were a few other campers, and I didn't want to disturb anyone, so I found a spot and I parked, set up my tent, and started feeding Rusty. I cracked open the beer. Yeah. I laid back and I tried to enjoy the incredible stars above the eastern Arizona desert. Man, I've seen the stars from Arizona. You ain't kidding. Absolutely beautiful, man.
Okay, I could see now you're letting your guard down a little bit. You reached your destination. You got your dog, and it said there was other campers. So
Yeah, well,
you're in a
especially if you're in a populated area,
that's what I mean. You got other campers there, so you're in a little group.
it inherently makes you feel safe until you realize all of the other people camping
They're
are
covered
actually
in oil too.
they're actually oily people. It's like, shit, surrounded by oily men. All right, but I was still thinking about that person on the road. See,
Well,
there,
yeah,
I
you
mean, there
don't
it
just
is.
forget about it, but you can relax a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, kinda. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know. The fear meter goes like it's when something that comes along that you don't understand. That's
Yeah,
what it truly is. It's the fear of the unknown. What you saw doesn't make sense to you. Like, we talked about it in like a previous episode, like if I saw someone walking like on a massive stretch like that, it would make sense to me if I saw their car broke down. Okay, now the oil makes sense. It might have been underneath their car, might have been trying to fix it. But if you don't see that, you know, like it just builds questions, which makes you feel super uneasy. Super, super uneasy. So I don't see myself letting my guard down. I see myself staying strapped. Know what I'm saying? Oh. That's when things took a turn. I was dead asleep when I was jolted awake by the sound right outside of my tent. It was loud, really loud. My heart was pounding. I sat up instantly, my Glock 19 in hand. That's right.
There you go.
Everybody, give it up for Rusty, the smartest of all campers. Glock 19, too. Nice, man. Nice. Rusty was at the front of the tent, rigid and alert. Man. Whatever the sound was, it was close and it was unnatural. So, unnatural. I've had a few experiences like this. You know, you get to know the woods or the area that you're in or the environment that you're in. You start to, you know, Cody and I could tell you, you know, if we heard some distant outcry of something in the woods, you know, we could more than likely be like, oh yeah, that's, you know, that's a bobcat, or that's a mountain lion, or oh, that's a black bear, you know. Whatever this person is saying that it's an unnatural sound, it's because it's something outside of their understanding. That is what's unsettling.
Something like that happening while I was in a tent, and that always made me. I feel like I would get instantly like claustrophobic because you're in a small enclosed area. You can't see. I mean, usually they'll have windows, but at that, you know, you're sleeping or something, you got them zipped up. You can't even see what's out there.
Well,
And you're
not
just
to,
hearing things around your tent, and you have no idea what side it's coming from.
yeah, well,
You're basically
not to mention a tent is just a
just
piece
fabric.
of
Yeah,
vinyl.
yeah. You're just a hot pocket at this point.
Yeah, like somebody could, if someone wanted, you know, like your your anything, you know, like all they have to do is take off running and slam into the side of that tent. Well, I mean, you've seen like bear encounters, right? Like
Oh
where
yeah, so that's like the whole thing. You just, oh god.
you see like the head start pushing in, you know, on the side of the wall, and next thing you know, they're stepping on top of it. You have to cut yourself out because they breach, like they break your ability to get to the entrance. Yeah, tent's nothing. So you know, like as scary as it is, you know that like, and it is scary. Like you know, unzip that thing, man. Get ready to confront whatever's out there. That's going to be your best chance. Stand your ground.
Or make really loud noises. I would be a good bet because if it is an animal, just getting real loud and that'll
Yeah,
spook some things off.
I know. Let us know in the comment section. What would you do? What would you do if you were in a tent and you started hearing something unnatural outside of your tent? I want to know in the comment section, and I want to know in the chat. Chat, what would you do? Tell us what your move would be. I personally would be a stand my ground. That's a thin piece of fabric, you know, between me and whatever it is. You are already confronting them whether you know it or not.
Actually, never mind. I just remembered. I was camping out in Moxie behind the ball field uh, with a friend and his now wife. We were in separate tents.
Like our favorite fishing spot?
Yes, all the way at the back. And it was probably 2 a.m, and I hear this thing coming up behind us. I don't know what it was.
There's high walls everywhere around there.
It's towards the back where it kind of levels out, back of the pond. But heard something coming up behind us and didn't know what it was. It didn't sound super big, but all I had to do was yell, "Get!" And
Yeah.
it ran off.
Yeah.
So you didn't.
So that would be Cody's. You would be audible.
Yeah, get loud because you also don't know. I mean, okay, you said it's unnatural. Well, what if it's just a guy with like diarrhea trying to find a spot to
Take a dump?
take a dump, and then
Well, it depends on where you're at. If you're at a campsite, brother, you got the wrong spot. Get away from my tent.
that too. But you never know.
You're about to doo
How many
down.
beers that guy have?
You're about to mistake my tent as a porta shitter. I'm sorry, bro. You might get a kneecap.
But you never know.
You might get kneecapped.
Yelling "get" and make things
Yeah. Yeah.
go away.
Yeah. Well, I'd stand my ground. Let's see where you guys are in the chat. Back to the story. It sounded like a person imitating a coyote. The pitch and the cadence were just off. It went on for about 3 minutes straight. I eventually calmed Rusty, laid my face into the pillow, and somehow drifted back to sleep. You ever been there? had something just really shake you up and have to go back to bed. I don't know if you ever really go truly back to bed.
And not in that instance.
You get a pretty rough.
It really all depends on the situation, though.
Yeah. I remember taking like one of my gal pals, back in the day out and we were camping at Wildcat Holler and they're like, "Oh, we bring in a tent and everything." And I was like, I just pointed at the tarp, And I like when I got there, I had some paracord. I ran it between a couple trees, threw it up. You had these big, like open entrances, you know, like and you're sleeping, you could see right out into the woods, and whenever your head was back, you could see right out into the woods above you. And that happened to be a night that raccoons were just coming in droves, and like all you could really see was their eyes. And I was like chill about it. But to her, it was just like our camp was being like assaulted by like little demons and shit. And I slept just fine. It really does take something of a supernatural, uh, like feeling or gut feeling or just like a really like rotten. I should be on my feet and moving for me to panic because like I don't even have doors on my tent when I camp. I could care less. I like the night air. The only thing I don't like is the mosquitoes. You know, that's about it. Roughly 45 minutes later, I woke up. This time, something pressing against my stomach.
Hmm.
Something in the tent with him. Is that what we're about to hear?
Oh,
I opened my eyes and I felt a rush of dread like I've never known. Rusty, my fearless territorial dog, was desperately trying to bury himself in my sleeping bag. He was cowering with his tail tucked between his legs. Something outside the tent was crushing through the brush, circling us.
okay. Well, at least it wasn't in the tent like I thought we were
It
going. I
was
was like, oh my God,
it
what are you?
was his dog, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still, yeah, something.
But listen to how he describes that. Rusty, my fearless
Yeah, like,
territorial dog,
yeah, is now
cowering.
cowering. That would be. Uh-oh.
Dogs and animals know. You see the cycle of a lot of people would describe it as alpha and whatnot. It's dominance. You see that in humans too. There's
A
people.
dog of any kind really isn't gonna just stand down unless it knows that
Uh-huh.
it's something it needs to.
Or in my opinion, getting a vibration ran through it that just like does not sit
Yeah,
well. you know like dogs don't do well with like complicated emotions. you know you can look at a dog like you're sad and it will come and lay next to you and give you love and affection and attention. You can look at a dog like you're happy and its tail will wag and it will be like, but if you give it like some mixed, like kind of between happy and sad, genuinely doesn't know what to do. And I think that like these, it's used to seeing humans, or it's used to smelling like humans. Something can offset them just as easily, you know. And I think that they show that they get confused. They shut down too, and that's really scary because like dogs have been in servitude of man for forever. They are man's best friend. When they are fearful, when they are not willing to come to your aid, when they are curling up for comfort in you, that is a scary moment. So this dude has to be shitting his sleeping bag
I would at this point I would almost say you take a shot out of the top of your tent. Like,
or just
tent
pop
be damned is just
pop one in the ground, man. Bam.
something like that.
Hopefully
Yeah,
that loud noise drives it off, or like maybe open your if you don't want to waste your tent, a quick zip of your tent like open. You could scare a lot of other campers and stuff, but hey, maybe that's what you need to be doing because they could be the
alert
ones.
everyone else to. Yeah,
They could be the ones messing with it. Yeah, or draw other people into the situation, wake other campers up. That could be a smart thing to do. But that's the thing too. Like, think about for a second. He's in an area where there are other campers and stuff. Let's
yeah. I
really
just
try
don't know
to
how.
get into the
Yeah,
headspace of this. You know what I
I'm
mean?
trying to imagine it, and then I'm not sure how spread out they are. Or,
You could pop a Glock into the ground, and like I highly doubt he's camping on asphalt or a concrete pad or something. In which case you have to worry about a ricochet. If it's just the ground, pop one into the ground, let it ring. Whatever it is could possibly run off. If it doesn't, you're probably in way bigger trouble than you ever thought. I kept one hand on my dog, one on my gun. Then I saw it, a shadow move across the side of the tent. It looked like a dog. I thought maybe it was a coyote sniffing around, but then I saw its face pressed into the tent wall. It was a dog, yes, but something was off, so way off. This was a large tent. Whatever it was stood at least 7 feet tall.
Oof.
And yeah, and worse, it had long human-like arms and hands, and I saw the shapes clearly, cast in shadows against the nylon. And that's all that there is nylon, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all that there is. What do you even, right? But what if it's somebody and like just trying to mess with you in a suit?
You
And
did it. You messed with me. Now you're getting.
yeah, yeah. I guess everybody should assume that everybody is strapped all the time. I mean, God bless America,
Yeah.
especially in any camping situation. You know, you best believe. My car is an arsenal. Like it is an arsenal. I have everything I need in there to survive a rugged situation. And I have several within arm's reach
If
of
not
me while
right
driving.
at it, I would have definitely at least let off a shot
Yeah.
by
Oh,
now
at
and
that point, I
into the ground
definitely,
or whatever.
yeah, would be popping a shot. And that shot, I would pop it into the ground and then be immediately on my back, arms extended up, both arms pressed together, ready to lick shots into whatever it was pressing my tent if it doesn't move or evade or get away at that point. Because something is ballsy. And if it happens to be a person who's mentally fucking ill, wearing a dog mask with big hands outside of my tent, pressing on that, and they don't take the hint, then they're going to take a few, little kisses of lead. And that's just it. And I'd pray that the law would be on my side. I froze. I chambered around. I pointed my gun at the silhouette. See, he's
Getting close to it.
he's right there with
Yeah.
us. He's right there with us. I was ready to blow through the side of the tent and wake the entire campground. Fuck yeah, man. Oh yeah. And just like that, it backed away, slowly crouching through the bushes and into the darkness. My heart was still racing, but the sounds faded. I comforted Rusty and eventually fell back to sleep. Ain't no way!
Going back to sleep. No.
Ain't
At that point, I don't know. I'd be sleeping in the car probably.
I'd probably be packed up. As a matter of fact, I'd be like, I'd probably be like, this tent, Timu.
Anybody else got any room in your tent over there in this campground?
Oh yeah,
I'm joining. Me and my
pull it
dog
up,
coming in.
pull it up close to the.
I got a
next
beer.
campers,
I'll share
man.
it with you. I'm coming in.
Yeah, right. You got like your one beer. You're like giving out Dixie cups, like just trying. The next morning, I packed up and started driving out of the campground. That's when I noticed something strange. There was at least a dozen handmade signs posted in the campground entrance that I hadn't seen from the night before. Rut-row.
Row.
Rut-row. Joe, what'd you do, bud? What'd you do, buddy? They read, "Do not camp here. This is sacred land. Respect our ancestors." It hit me like a brick. I had camped on a burial ground on a Native American reservation land. I later learned the local community had been trying to get that campground shut down. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. So he sees these signs the next day. And you've got to be thinking. And at one point during this story, you did say it sounded like there was a person imitating, right? That was previous.
Yes.
A person outside of your tent imitating. However, your experience with whatever came to your tent.
Also, it took time. So this was like mid transformation.
Could have
As the
been.
noise, and then like 45 minutes later
Could have been.
was.
Who? Yeah.
Won't make that mistake again.
Yeah, I'd say so. Man, it's a question of whether or not, you just didn't see the signs on the way in, or if maybe they were posted because of you. the next day. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like, throw salt in any sort of wound or anything. We all live, learn, and grow here on this channel. There's a part of me that's like, maybe they were just messing with you. Maybe there was someone out in the dead of night, trying to coyote call you up and out,
I
get under your
wonder
skin,
if,
scare you.
as it goes on, though, because there were other people camping there too. Did
Right. Well, they could have been, native people,
maybe?
in which case, they see it very much differently. Like I've, you know,
I was just gonna
not
wonder
been,
if anyone else also had this experience.
yeah. Who knows? I mean, we'll keep reading and see if that reveals itself. So what the hell was that last night? Was it a skinny? Was it a spirit protecting a sacred land? Whatever it was, I'm just glad it left me alone. Or so I thought.
Oh.
Wow, man. Yeah, I knew from there's a little chunk left of this.
I would wonder. You see the signs, you know you like messed up.
Oh yeah,
If there was like a way or someone near that you could talk to about this and be like, honest mistake,
yeah,
like sorry,
yeah.
won't
Or
happen again.
maybe during the daytime. A lot of times, and this goes for many cultures. Like a lot of them aren't gatekeeped. A lot of people are very very much so trying to be like outward about like their way of life, their beliefs, and their history. Oral storytelling, especially within the Native community, was very important. To like me and like many many of like my native brothers and sisters. It's just something that still is very very predominant in our blood. I've talked to Captain Planet, a guy who's a friend of mine on TikTok. Like oral tradition, is how things are kept alive. It's not that a lot of these cultures are trying to like safeguard and completely cut people out. Like they want people to know about their way of life, about their history, about their ancestry, and about their culture, because they want to bring respect, they want to bring knowledge to it, and they want to keep and continue honoring it, and they want people to know how they can go about honoring it. They don't want people to keep like stepping on the graves of their ancestors and stuff. They want people to respect it and help those stories go forward and move forward. It's a thing of beauty, truly. And maybe in the daytime, like had you like been able to, or known how to, you're probably rattled out of your brain or something. You probably could have found someone to give you like the breakdown, like like around that reservation or something. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be fearful, of the people. Yes, you're on a native reservation, or close to one. Ask questions. Worst thing that can happen is they say, hey, shove off. Okay, well, you got the wrong person to answer the questions you have. The next day, I was at my brother's house in Flagstaff, Arizona. We worked during the day, and that night I passed out on his couch. Something in the middle of the night, it woke me up. It was a tall figure, 6 or 7 feet, standing in the corner of the living room, just staring at me. I thought I was having sleep paralysis, but then I tried to move my legs. I was totally awake. The figure raised one arm slowly and started whispering in a low growl while pointing directly at me. I panicked. I didn't move. I just stared quietly, reciting the Lord's Prayer over and over again. The figure grew agitated, then slowly backed into the wall and vanished. The next morning, I told my brother's friend what happened. He looked at me in the eye and he said, "You had pissed something off." His Navajo friend saged me and told me I needed to cross the river and never talk about it again. This was over 2 years ago. It still gives me chills. To whatever that entity was, let's never meet again. Joe.
Does this count as talking about it?
Well, that's my thing, Joe. We're hey, you wrote in. We're just responding, and we're concerned. You were told never to talk about it again. You just put this on a podcast. Uh, I, I'm going to say my prayers for you, and hey, let's get everybody saying a few prayers for Joe. I appreciate you telling the story. I think you're good. I do. You know, someone tells you to go do a certain task, to cross the river, never talk about it again. You cross the river, all right? And it wasn't you talking about it. Hey, there's your saving grace. I talked about it. Now I'm fucked. Thanks, Joe. That's all right though. I got enough demons following me. But what a story.
Yeah, I'd say at least you can kind of write off that it being a man trying to scare you if you've seen it at your brother's house too. And
I mean, let's go over the kind of strange highlights of that story. So there was a point where he saw an oily figure,
the long-haired figure,
oily long-haired
and the
man walking in almost a very long stretch of road. So
and then some random noise, and then
something
imitating a coyote.
Not
and
something. It sounded like a person.
Someone.
Sounded like a
and
person
then
imitating.
a 7-foot tall wolf creature.
So whenever he is at his brother's house in Flagstaff, Arizona, which isn't even the location in which he was when this happened.
Saying I was followed you. No, it's not a person.
Well, some entity has,
some other thing.
But it's no longer dog-like. It's just a tall figure.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to see it.
I wouldn't want to see that either.
Were you sleeping at your brother's with your gun still on you at that point? Because
I think at this point I would.
Yeah, I'd say him like I got this thing on me 24/7 right now.
I'd have a couple. You know, I'd be like fucking John Wick at this point if this shit happened to me, especially within like the couple months or days after, especially days after. You know, catch me napping? Hell the fuck no. Hell no.
Hopefully you're in the clear.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's all right. I think everyone's going to pray over him. Everyone's going to push the good vibes. We're pushing good vibes around our following, around our community tonight. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Like, nope. Spooky thing.
Who's touching me there?
Nobody.
It's one of you.
We're kung fu chopping the dark entities right out of our lives right now. You know, all hell's just breaking loose in Joe's like since the live stream. He's like watching. It's just I fucked up.
Now we're just talking about it, recording this, and it's not going to come out for days. What if it's already got him by the time this airs?
Don't say that.
I'm just worried about Joe.
We're putting a protective. We're doing
the best we can for you.
But Miam hasn't said anything about, about Joe. She would tell us. She
I swear if something comes up in the comments and like before we even tell Joe's story and we got to stop everything.
We have to stop now.
We don't even know who to call. I got an email. I can frantically email Joe.
We could very well be summoning something dark right now. No. Replace it with light. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Now a word from our sponsor. Do you feel like dog shit? Do you have like a plethora of problems going on, whether it be cognitive issues, headaches, anxiety, stress? Well, we have a solution for you over here at hellfireholler.com. In 2017, someone blew my face off with a shotgun. It was a pretty ugly fucking mess, and my whole life went into a tailspin. I was being prescribed different medications that were truly ruining my life quality further and eliminating my ability to think and retain memory. That's whenever I took control and started diving into the world of plants and fungi and became a phyto and mycochemist. Now, I make products for people all over the country with great reviews and great success. If you would like to step outside of the world of great pharma and try Hellfire Holler products, why don't you go to hellfireholler.com. We'll see you there. Much love. Stay wild.
TikTok shop. Nice to see you guys again. Hey, Ben.
Did you think we wouldn't notice?
What? It's just... What? I could do this all day.
Why haven't you put your products on TikTok?
Because TikTok used to represent freedom. Freedom of speech. You can post anything you wanted now. All it is a TikTok shop. Plus, why the heck would I want to go into business with somebody who doesn't even hold up their end of the bargain anyway? You haven't paid me for my stories in months. Going into business with you would be suicide. Plus, I can just tell people to go to hellfireholler.com.
Hellfireholler.com.
Yeah, hellfireholler.com.
Wait, hellfireholler.com?
Yeah. Check out my small business, Hellfire Holler. I've been through hell and learned to get out. Now I want to help you. Check out my website, hellfireholler.com. Love y'all. Stay wild.
That's right, my website is up and I am taking orders. I take great pride in the quality of work that I produce. These products have revolutionized my quality of life, and if you would like to give them a shot, go to hellfireholler.com and pick some up. Love you, stay wild. Thank you to our sponsors. We're 2 stories in. Cody, how you feeling so far?
Well, I just accidentally said a no word, so
Yeah, Cody
you know how that goes.
Cody said a summoning phrase.
I just wanted to take the heat off of Joe, and
Well, I'd say you did. Everyone circle Joe. Everyone circle Joe and Miriam right now. In their hearts. Love this community. I love each and every one of you, especially our loving Patreon members. You guys are absolutely incredible. So we got one more story. That's right. We're doing 3 tonight. 3. You know, every time that we watch these premieres and stuff, we're like, man, why does it feel like it just ended too soon? We just had everyone on the edge of their seats, ourselves included. We watch these back and we're like, wow, look at us. We're doing a good job.
who's that handsome devil?
Oh, who, me? Oh, I can't wait to get a second camera so we can get your cutie patootie face on here. Oh, he's blushing. He's blushing.
Goatman, stop it!
He's here. Fuck! Motherfucker. So this next story that comes in wants to remain anonymous. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
The anonymous ones get me because it's like,
yeah,
that's the ones where people, it's like, man, this story is going to fuck you up.
we'll
And
see. I try to email everybody and let them know that their story is going to be
Yeah.
featured. So maybe
Maybe we'll see
they'll
them in
pop
the
up
comment
comments
section.
and come forward.
Yeah, maybe we'll see them there. In which case, we'd also like to remind people, send your social media. Send your socials in along with your story. I know that it's kind of like I'm someone who's trying to remain anonymous, but this just reminded me. If you do send in a story, attach your socials to that. We'll try to get people to come over and give you a little bit of love.
And your credit card numbers, your first name.
Yeah, if you
Those
could.
silly little digits on the back of your card.
Yeah, make sure to put the C with CRV on there. You know, that's important. We can't hack your debit line without that. I could never
Don't
do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, but we got an anonymous here. But before we dive into that, let's just remind you guys one more time. Hey, we got awesome products over Hellfire Holler. I know that Nightbot right now is just like letting you know that over in the live chat, which if you're not in right now, if you're at the premiere, yeah, there's a whole live chat going on and we're probably there. I almost guarantee that we're there and you could be talking to us directly.
To the right.
Right? You could be
Swipe
talking
to the right.
to us directly.
Or is it swipe to the left? You know what? You want to go right, but I think you have to swipe to the left.
Oh, I'm not sure. You always do that for me because like I'm a big bumbling man child. I'm like, I don't know how to get to the chat. Yeah, right. Chris has to do it for Voice of the Broken too. He has to like literally be like, "Here's the fucking link, idiot." You know. Yeah. But yeah, we guys on the other socials, it helps us tremendously if you want to go to Patreon and you want to join our community on Patreon. And we're trying to get our Discord up and going too. We're trying to get that up and moving. Also, I'm the co-host for Voice of the Broken over the To Be Better podcast. Go check us out there too. I'd love your support over at the other projects and stuff that I'm doing. My name is Deadeye Two Tongues on TikTok. and also on Instagram, also on Facebook. Come on, guys, rally around us. If you like what we're doing, if you like these spooky, scary stories, and especially if you want to keep them coming and you want to make this something that is lucrative for us and something that allows us to go and see some of these spooky, dark places, then we need your help. You could do that simply by going and following us, subscribing, liking videos. You could make a big difference there, especially at our Patreon at Deadeye Two Tongues 740. That is where you can pledge whatever you want, $1 a month, $2, or you can join the different tiers that we have. That's enough of that. We'll remind you at the end of the video again because we have to, but let's get into the story. It was September. The air was chill and crisp. The night was still. Is that too much? That's too much.
You're just gonna all of a sudden do it after
do you
two
mean?
stories, and it's too much.
Well, I want to add a little extra
If
flair
you'd
to
done
this
it,
one.
if you had done it for the other two, I'd have been like, all right, keep it.
Next episode? Next episode,
We'll
I'm
just do
only
what we're
talking
doing.
like
It's
this.
all good.
I'm only talking like this next episode. It was September, and the air was chill and crisp, and the night was still. We were a group of 4, all recent high school graduates with too much time and taste for scaring ourselves. There was a hospital just outside of town. It was shuttered since the 1970s, a place wrapped in local stories that no one ever verified. People said the staff had abandoned it overnight, that patients were left inside. Most likely nonsense, but enough to tempt us. That's where you started your path.
Where you go, you gotta,
You're going to get what you deserve.
now you gotta go to these places.
I know.
You got abandoned buildings.
I'm
You gotta
one of
go.
them.
Like, oh, I'm gonna go look at that.
I'm one of them, but I can just speak.
Well, you know how it's gonna go, but you gotta go do it.
Yeah, I can speak from the perspective. That's why I'm yelling at myself in you. I'm vicariously screaming.
And we'd have been right there with them.
Yeah, we would have. Yeah, and now we kind of are. We waited until midnight to go. The place stood behind a rusted chain link fence and overgrown weeds that felt like they clawed at our jeans. Getting in wasn't hard. A back door near the loading bay hung crooked off its hinges, and inside the air felt like an old breath, wet, warm, and heavy with mildew.
Like the school.
Great writing. This is great. This is the type of writing we absolutely love here on this channel. Thank you. The silence was complete. No city noise, no insects, just the scrape of our shoes and the occasional crunch of debris. I remember the peeling of wallpaper. The gurneys frozen in time. Ooh. There's just something about old medical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see it, you know that somebody was probably strapped to it. You know that there was probably what would be considered a lunatic, ranting, raving, trying to get up from it, strapped to it. Like you can just see that in that old rusty equipment.
Almost like they hold memories from a
Yeah,
bygone era.
Right? I mean, objects. Like you have the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that fucker on tour right now, burning down shit everywhere it goes?
I thought I heard that was just a rumor and it's still locked in that whatever.
God, the
room
internet
it's supposed to
sucks
be in.
sometimes. The internet really does suck sometimes because I've heard that several occasions now. But yeah, I mean, objects holding memories. There are so many stories and representations, and tellings of stories, where people have, had an object or something that was the source of a haunting, and man, these medical places, because we have like almost king dingaling of all insane asylums where we grew up, the Ridges, a lot of screwed up stuff happened there, and that building itself holds all of that pain and anguish. It can't really escape. But the gurneys, just I've seen it. I've stepped in the Ridges and I've seen the old medical equipment, and I'm like almost seeing this story through my own like lens that I've experienced.
I'm imagining the old school. You walk in the basement and the walls would be dripping with just dew from the outside and that mildew smell and then the paint
Yeah.
chipping, and it's like takes you right back.
Yeah. Cody used to live in this old abandoned school here in Moxahala.
It was nice when I lived there. It wasn't the scariest fucking thing on the planet when I lived there.
Actually, maybe we can
But it was
find.
haunted.
Can we find the videos of people who have gone there ghost hunting and posted on YouTube that found your family pictures on the ground and were like creeped out by it? Like Cody's family like left behind a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they used to live there. And you have people that were going through, like, we're going to go through the haunted school over at Moxahala, and you see them like picking up Cody's
Yeah.
old.
That's a picture
like-
of me eating chili. Like,
Cody,
like that's
is,
not.
Cody
To me,
is-
that's not scary. But I could see someone else find this random. Like, oh my god, what happened here?
this poor boy was probably. He was probably
What is that porridge he's eating?
sucked into the black vortex of death of the school, and it's like, nah, he's sitting here.
I got a Lion King shirt on. It was like 93, and I'm eating chili. That was like the best time of my life.
This person's holding it up like staring at it like it's like some old death relic from a fucking like a wallet of a father who was like sucked up into the vortex of the
Little
school.
baby shoes and
Yeah.
little like. I mean, yeah, it's got to be creepy. You
Yeah.
don't know there's a crib in this fucking abandoned building.
Yeah.
It's like
It's literally
little
from Cody's
little
family.
baby rocking chair that still kind of worked. It's like, yeah, that's creepy as hell. But then I'm like, hey, I remember this.
That was mine. Yeah. All right. Back to the story. The gurneys frozen in time, rust eating away at their wheels. One of us found a nurse's shoe, still upright like it had just been stepped out of. It started to feel like we were trespassing in a way beyond the physical. It's 'cause you are, my friend. About 15 minutes in, we were on the third floor. That's always the third floor, ain't it?
Yep.
It's always the third floor. I don't know if that has something to do with the Holy Trinity. You know, a lot of, it's always the witch's hour, 3 a.m. There's a lot of power in 3s, 6s, and 9s in numerology.
We didn't talk about that last time. Wasn't the last story with wasn't it about 3 a.m. when he got woken up? Or he was driving, it was about 3 a.m.
It would have been, I think, right around the time that he was camping, that it would have been 3 a.m. I think he said something along that nature.
I thought he mentioned 3 a.m. I didn't even think about it at the time.
Maybe. But yeah, there's something special about that. A lot of people say it's because dark entities like to mock the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. About 15 minutes in, we were on the third floor in what looked like a pediatric wing. The walls were still faintly colored with sickly pastel animals. That's when we heard it, laughing. Not loud, not from a single direction. It was a woman's laugh, high, breathy, and wrong. It came from everywhere, no echo, no source. It seeped out of the vents, the walls, the floor. We froze. The laughter rose and dropped like it was circling us. Something moved, fast, and then the slam of a door, and it crackled through the hall like a gunshot. It wasn't one of us. All 4 of us were in the hallway, and the sound had come from every room to our left. We didn't speak, we couldn't. Every hair on my body stood up, and my flashlight dimmed, then flared bright again. The others said theirs did the same. Something moved at the end of the hall. Just like our third floor's experience at
Yeah,
the
this
school.
is like just hitting home. Like, just instead of the laughing, it's a baby crying, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'd always get to the top of to the third floor.
yeah, you walk up, you get to the stairs, and you just can feel it right off the bat. Just something is off up there, and
Like,
it's
yeah, and as if like that walking by of that shadow was as if it was like part of a tripwire or
Yeah.
like an alarm system set up in that building. You'd get to the summit of the staircase, and you could reliably cast your shadow down to the end of the hallway, and you could watch something go from one end to the other every time. Like several times Cody and I experienced it, like clockwork. Yeah, it's spooky, and it's always the third floor. Something had moved at the end of the hall. I swear it was light, soft and pale, like the glow from an old TV screen. It darted behind a corner. Another flickered above us near the ceiling, then zipped out of view. We didn't talk about running. We just ran. Down 2 flights of stairs, barely able to breathe, hearts punching our ribs, and the laughing followed us. It got louder as we got closer to the door. Outside, we didn't stop. The lights didn't either. One hovered above the tree line near the parking lot. Another we saw in the side mirror of the car as we tore down the road, keeping pace until it vanished into the night. We didn't speak on the way home. What was there to say? Yeah, getting chased is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I try to never run. I think it feeds either, and there is a feeling when you commit to the like I'm not running, it is like a flex. It really is. It's like your spirit flexes. And like, I feel like that energy that's being pulled off of you, kind of like the Dementors is how I like feel it. You know what I mean? Like in Harry Potter, they come up and they like pull off of you. You're almost like no, and you like kind of make your energy harder to take, and they relinquish a little bit. They pull off of you. But I completely understand running. It is a primal instinct. I just always try my best. I think walking is a testament that you will not be fucked with, and it's just walking. That's it. Standing your ground and standing there is a whole nother thing. Just like, no.
Then also, if you're a group, you're, what, four people?
Yeah.
You got like one or two that take off.
Oh, for sure.
You don't want to be like, well, I better get going.
And in our experiences as well, like if you do just kind of sit around, there's a likelihood that one of your party mates is, well, they're just going to turn into whatever it is.
So it's like,
yeah.
Everyone stay together. You're running. I guess I'm running.
Yeah, Cody's got a pretty creepy video. Maybe we can put it like, here, where he's filming in night vision, and like one of his friends is just completely
not him anymore.
Yeah, he's not there, and that's at the school. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. Each of us had strange things happen, but none of us wanted to tell the others at first. I started seeing things, shapes in the corners of the room. Once I woke up to the sound of footsteps in my hallway. They stopped just outside my door. When I looked, no one was there. One of the others, he lived alone in the basement apartment, called me one night, shaken. He said he'd been hearing the same laugh, faint at first, then right behind his head. He left his TV on every night after that. Another said he had started seeing light reflections where there shouldn't be any, like the orbs from the hospital following him in the reflection of the windows and mirrors. Then came the phone call.
Oh no.
God damn, dude.
Everyone got a taste of something.
God damn. And I can tell you from a personal experience, I've had a phone call. I had a phone, and it was very convincing. It was my friend Vanessa on the phone telling me that she was stuck on Pedigo. Now, in hindsight, looking back at it, like, I mean, that was the day where, all of my cool friends, they had phones their senior year and all of that, but there's no service out there. There's just no service out, at Pedigo. There definitely wasn't back then, I could tell you that. So the fact that I got lured in, I got suckered in, and I remember, hey, can you help me? I'm stuck out here on Pedigo. I'm on Pedigo Road. And I'm like, wanting to be hero, wanting to be valiant, Yeah, I got you. Grabbed my fucking daddy's truck, drove down the road, flew down that road, and then didn't see you. I got back. I called back. Hey, I never called you. What are you talking about? Dude.
The only time I had a phone call like that situation, talking about government conspiracies with some friends, and then my phone rang, and the numbers was just nothing but zeros, and there was like way too many zeros. I was like, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's spooky. Then came the phone call. It was just a few days after Halloween. Ooh, when the world of the living and the dead are their closest, when the veils touch, That's why like a lot of holidays are dedicated to helping spirits move on, like Samhain, All Hallows Eve. That is when the world of living and dead are almost overlapping. So the fact that this phone call comes right around Halloween. Let's see what was on the other end, huh? It was a few days after Halloween. My phone rang around 3 a.m. There's 3 again. No number, just an unknown caller. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened the next morning, all I heard was laughing. That same laugh, giddy, breathless, almost too loud for the speaker. It lasted for nearly a minute, then cut off abruptly. No static, no click. We tried to move on. We stopped talking about it altogether. Some of the guys drifted off, moving away. I don't think it was a coincidence. I moved states the following year for college, and things lessened after that. But I still don't sleep with the door open. I still check the hallway. Once in a while, I'll be out walking or sitting in a quiet room, and I'll hear something. A laugh, a distant, low, like it's hiding in the air. I tell myself it's nothing, but I know better. That place, whatever it was, it didn't want to be found, and we made the mistake of finding it anyway. We never should have gone in. Yeah, sometimes. Is that a mistake or just part of your life's charm now?
Well, I would definitely make an attempt to like get some cleansing, because you definitely sounds like a few of you at least have something attached.
A need for some holy white sage.
Something. I don't know if the other ones who moved away got away from it.
Ethically
But definitely,
sourced.
if you're still going, you're out, you're hearing things and stuff still.
Yeah.
However long ago this was.
Some years later.
Yeah, like
Years later. Yeah, you got
something.
You got something attached to you. And if you haven't tried to cleanse or anything, Mr. Anonymous Writer or Mrs. could be, or Miss.
I don't know why, but I was imagining it being a girl.
You think so? Maybe from the writing.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
The writing sounds a bit delicate, like it would be, possible. It does feel like feminine. There was a lot of like nurturing sounding energy in that. But who knows? Who knows? But all right, takeaway. Other than the spirits that you took with you, what's your takeaway, Cody?
Yeah, you got something attached to you.
Yeah.
Try to get that cleansed. There's different ways to do it, so you can.
Yeah. I mean,
religious ways or.
Right. I mean, there's holy bathing. There's sage smudging.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff you can do. But here's the thing I think about these asylum, energies. I myself can't speak for the mentally ill, the actually mentally ill, mentally deranged, and like some of these our lovely, amazing ridges here in Athens. You have a lot of people who were lobotomized. Who knows what happens to the spirit when the mind is broken? Is it frustrated? Is it rolling around? It can no longer communicate. The energy that comes from an asylum, oftentimes is a very confused. It's not even necessarily it's dark. Now the treatment of them, I think, breeds a lot of negativity and darkness. Because you have a lot of people who aren't designed to be caretakers, and you have the history not working on its side. We weren't kind to the mental ill throughout history.
That they're going to be kind to.
To assume, that these spirits, are going to walk away oh, we understand. No, absolutely not. That's a really hopeless, sorrowful, force to be reckoned with. Which I don't necessarily think that all of these spirits are going to want to linger there or whatever, but that residual energy, that dark energy, I think it brings something forward. I think it allows more unpleasant forces to come in and yet again feed on those emotions and those negative outcomes that happen within these buildings. And it's a special kind of energy that breeds a special kind of entity, you know. And it's spooky as all hell. I mean, it really is. But is it the mentally ill that are chasing people around and everything? In my opinion, I don't think so. I think it's whatever parasitizes them, like feeds off of them and eats off of like their misfortune, that is able. And that's why I think that these places, these like, like monolithic giant structures that hold so much pain and anguish, that happen in the world of the living, they become perfect breeding grounds, like, as all that dark energy and dark deed has been done there, and these things step in and they make these massive castles of woe and anguish. That's just my opinion. So it's 3 different stories from 3 wildly different perspectives, and I think that it was very interesting to be able to get almost a near-death experience in a very unique way at the very beginning of this podcast. Just to recap, you know,
Yeah.
that is a near-death experience. They woke up feeling like they had been in the crashed car.
Also said that death was standing right there.
Yeah, death
Black
himself
figure, yeah, death himself.
had visited. That's crazy. And then you have the second story, another Dogman. Dogman, very popular on
Dogman
the show.
or
Yeah, could be werewolf, could be a windy. Then they're out west, could be a skinny, And then this final story, we have the spectral following, the chasing out of a facility and into the lives of these people, the everyday lives. 3 unique write-ins. What a awesome night here on the podcast.
hopefully after that phone call or so they up.
Hopefully. Yeah, who knows where any of these people are now. If you are in here and you're watching our podcast, please let us know that you are okay.
Yeah.
We care greatly about you. We love your stories, and but we want to know that you're also doing well up here. That's very important to us. What a great night here on the podcast. If you would like to be on our podcast, you can go to hellfirehollerpodcast@gmail.com. You can write in your story. We would like you to be as descriptive as possible. We need you to tell the story here. We don't want to have to alter anything. We want it to come from you. We want it to come right out of the caverns of your mind, spilled onto the paper for us to read, digest, process, and discuss here on our podcast. And that's the way we like to keep it. And so far, everybody's doing a pretty good job. Seems like we're getting 2 to 3 a day at this point. Absolutely fantastic. Hellfire Holler podcast @gmail.com. You can also write in with different, if you have any sort of requests, things like that, or maybe suggestions for making the podcast a better experience for the listener. We'd absolutely love to hear your inquiries. We'd like to hear your suggestions.
Thank you to Miriam, Joe, and Anonymous.
Yeah, and the anonymous writer. Yeah, absolutely, just bone-chilling stories, heartwarming stories here tonight. If you guys could, please give us a like and a share. And if you're really enjoying our content and you want to help us grow, you could put us on any of your social media platforms, or tag us on your social media platforms, share us on your Facebook, anything like that. It's going to go a long way. As people start to gravitate towards this podcast, it's just going to get better and better. And I think that we're getting better and better, more relaxed as hosts and co-hosts, right? You think so? Let us know in the chat. Let us know down here. Let us know in the comment section. This has been a great way to supplement some of the content, especially with me being a little on the chronically ill side now. So this has been an awesome way to get out a lot of that creativity. I love online storytelling. I love the internet campfire. It is a great place to stretch your legs and get out some creativity and And I think we're only going to get more and more creative as time goes on this podcast. Now, you can go to my TikTok and you can check my link tree, or you can go to my Instagram, check my link tree. That's Deadeye Two Tongues, DeadIeye 2 TONGUES. That's all one word, Deadeye Two Tongues. You can go and you can check my link tree. You can also go to Patreon. And you could find that at Deadeye Two Tongues, same spelling, 740. You can give us a follow on all these different platforms. Make a pledge if you like. We put our Patreon platform providers, people who pay, at the end of the video here. You'll see your name scrolling. Stay tuned for that. We love each and every one of you guys.
And I'm calling it now that this is the episode where in the comments there will be a Thunder Machine enthusiast.
Get fucked. Hell nah. Hell no. That's a whole inside joke. You can hear more about it on Patreon. We'll talk more about it on Patreon. Cody likes to have Thunder and Lightning playing while we're... which
it adds to the spookiness.
You can't even hear it in the editing.
That's because of you.
Enough said. Enough said. Any final comments, closing comments, Cody?
Hope Miriam's doing well, better, and
Same.
Yes.
I gave a heart emoji. What?
I didn't know what you were doing.
I was doing this.
I was looking from the side. I can't tell what it is from over here.
It was for Miriam. And for
then
everybody.
Hopefully, the shadowy, 7-foot-tall man has left Joe alone.
Yep. You done talked about it. You done talk. Well, we talked about it. That is the saving grace. He just wrote it down. That's it. We talked about it. Hopefully, we're not the ones picking up the slack on that.
And hopefully all the group of 4 in the last story have been left alone and cleansed.
Clean bills of health.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Miriam, if you see anything in my future, let's just keep it to yourself. I don't need to know. I'm ready. I'm ready for it whenever it comes. Joe, absolutely amazing storytelling, my friend. Tread lightly or you're camping. And to the group of 4, I hope you guys are all doing well. Maybe get yourself some ethically sourced white holy sage and find yourself in a better standing. Until the next time, until the next opportunity comes where we can put the thud in the floorboards of your old rickety house, where we can be the creepy hand that comes out from under the bed at the witch's hour, when we can be the peering eyes in the headlights looking at you on the back roads. I'm Deadeye Two Tongues. This is the Fogman Cody. We love you guys. We hope you stay spooky. We hope you stay wild. You're such a dick.